Hey everyone, last video I showed you guys the benefits of habits and how automating a few tasks in your life can make it so that you can spend more time on things that are important to you but may not have as much time for. And also with habits, since you aren't actually thinking about the process of completing a habit, then you can spare some energy for those things as well. So now in this video, I'm going to be running through the habit loop and also how to make habits stick. So here is something called the habit loop, which consists of the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. There are other models that combine both the craving and the response with something called the routine, but we're going to stick with craving and response separately to get a full picture of what's going on. So essentially, the habit loop is the path that your brain goes through when a habit is triggered. So it starts with the cue, and that's a specific setting that triggers a craving, which of course leads to the craving. And in the craving portion of the habit loop, that's when you notice that you want something, right? And you're going to do something to get what you want, and that is the routine. So you go through a bunch of actions, a bunch of steps, so you can get your reward at the end. So that would be the response and the reward, respectively. So let's pull an example from the last video and say I walk into a dark room and I want to read my book. But it's dark, right? I can't see anything. It wouldn't be very smart to just pull out my book and try reading as hard as I could, try to make out the characters, right? Because why would I do that if I can do something else, like turn on a light? And so that is the start of the habit. That's the cue. I walk into a dark room and I say, it's pretty dark in here. And I start to crave, the craving part of the habit loop, I start to crave light, right? Because I want to see my book or the room, and then my book, and then the words in the book, right? So I go through a series of steps. I walk over to the light switch, I turn the light switch on, and that is my response, and my reward is I can see again, and so then I can enjoy my book after. So that is a very, very simple habit loop that is ingrained in almost all of our minds by now, assuming that if you're watching this video you have access to electricity. But that is the habit loop. That is a little shortcut that our brains use to use less energy but still achieve the same thing. So let's go on to a more applicable example, like standing in line at a restaurant. Maybe I had ordered to go and was just waiting for my food, and I'm standing there and boom, something hits me, my cue. I'm bored. I'm just standing here with nothing to do, waiting, and that's my cue. My craving? Well, I want something to cure my boredom, right? So I decide to take my phone out because that has cured my boredom before, and my reward is scrolling social media, finding something in the news, discovering something in the web, something like that. And it occupies my time, so I'm not bored anymore. My boredom is cured. And that is another habit loop that goes on in our brains. So now, with this basic habit loop crash course, let's go on to making habits stick, because that is also quite hard. So to do this, we should target and optimize each part of our habit loop. So the first part is our cue, right? And so what should we optimize there? Well, we should make it stand out. Make it as obvious as possible that we want to do our habit. So let's say, for example, I want to create a habit of doing my homework right away after I arrive at my dorm after my last class. So how do I make my habit stand out? Well, writing my habit down and putting it in a place that I can see it is a very good way of reminding myself, wow, I should probably do this habit and keep doing it daily, right? After my last class, I'm going to start my homework right away. And so if I put that on my desk and I can see it clearly every time I enter my dorm, then it's pretty obvious, right? I know it's there and I should probably do my habit. So that's just something to remind ourselves and to optimize the cue portion of the habit loop. So let's move on to the craving part. So how do we optimize our craving? We have to make it attractive. We have to make our habit as attractive as possible. So with that, maybe we go back to the reason why you're doing this habit. For me, if I go back to my study habit, let's say my reason is that I want to get all of my homework done, all of the necessary things, my deadlines, over with so I can do other things like YouTube or read or spend time, socialize with friends, then that is a very valid reason for me to be continuing this habit and to actually go through with it. I may also do a motivational ritual, right? So maybe on the way back home, bike ride back to my dorm, then I'll listen to a specific song or playlist to get me into the mood, and as I develop the habit, then my brain's gonna remember that, oh, he's listening to this specific song, I should get into the studying groove, we're ready to go, ready to pound out some homework. So that would be optimizing our craving, making it more attractive. Now for our response, we want to make it as easy as possible. So I don't know about you, but for me, I'd rather sprint 100 meters than run a marathon. So with our habits, it's basically the same thing. We want to do less effort to actually do our habit than put in a lot of effort. And therefore, we can increase the accountability that will actually do the habit each day or each time you want. By making the habit easy to accomplish or easy to start, then you'll be lowering the activation energy to doing that task, and so it will be less likely that you'll fail at implementing the habit. We want less friction from our current state and then into the habit that we want. And so one of the things that I can do with my study habit is to clear off all the things on my desk. And so when I get back home, then all I have to do is put my computer on there, start it up, and then start working. So I won't be distracted by other things, and that would decrease the friction from me coming back home and studying. And I could also set a space for my phone, preferably outside of my reach, so that I won't be distracted when I'm locked in and focused when I'm studying. And as you might remember, these examples of me clearing the desk and putting my phone somewhere else is from my choice environment video, so that will help a lot with this decreased friction process. Towards the end, we have a reward. So optimizing a reward, we want to end with satisfaction. So immediately after you complete a habit, it's great to receive a reward to positively reinforce that habit, those things that you did. So after I complete my study session, some possible rewards could be a snack, going on my phone, checking social media, maybe even taking a walk outside, just something to boost my mood. And also remember that if you break your habit one day, don't worry about it, it's no sweat, but try to get back on it as soon as possible, preferably the next day, and then keep building a streak of habits. So each day that you complete a habit, you mark an X on the calendar, and you keep marking X's for each day and making longer chains. It's like a little challenge, and that can hold you accountable as well. So those are the 4 tips of creating great habits. Make our habits stand out, be attractive, be easy to do, and also be satisfying. If you want to read more about this topic, I highly recommend Atomic Habits by James Clear, because this book has really changed my perspective on self-improvement and also habits in general. So I highly recommend that. So this is the end of the video. Leave a like and comment down below what you think about making new habits stick, and I'll see you in the next one.